Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of Women of Arabia. Women of Arabia is a platform where we showcase the best women entrepreneurs and women from other walks of life who with their sheer determination and passion they have created their dreams into reality. And today in conversation with us is the founder of Unwind the Grind, Samia Hasan. Hi Samia.
Hello, how are you?
Great. Thank you so much for being part of the show.
Thank you for having me over.
So I know we know each other for quite a couple of months now, I guess, and I have been following you on Instagram, on Facebook, LinkedIn, of course, and I've been seeing all the great work that you do with Unwind the Grind. What exactly is Unwind the Grind?
So we are basically a career development platform for millennials, for young people, corporate professionals or entrepreneurs, let's say anyone from 22 to 35 years old. And we offer career development. So anything from providing clarity on career path to personal branding, entrepreneurship, and also financial independence.
Oh, okay. And so when you say 35, we're just barely there, right? Right? We're almost there. No, we're not. We're way above. At least I'm way above that.
I'm there, but it's fine. It's
almost
okay.
there. Okay.
Millennials are getting older, so obviously, you know.
And you do. And plus now, considering the fact that even the retirement ages have been increased, so you can probably stretch it from 35 to 45.
The millennials will start coming in that age bracket, right?
Okay.
So it's anyone who is born from 1982 until 1999. It keeps moving, right?
Yes,
these people who were in their 20s before, or even like younger than that before, are now growing older and occupying key positions in companies. So like right now, globally, millennials make up 50% of any organization, and by 2030, they're going to be 75%.
Wow.
So imagine the power they have.
Yeah, the youngsters. Power is literally in the hands of the youngsters. But what made you start Unwind the Grind? Because from what I know, that was not career development. That was not what your background was, right?
Yes,
you were in marketing.
Yes, my background is marketing.
Okay.
I did my MBA in marketing and I worked with Procter & Gamble for almost a decade. 10 years, one company, a lot of brands.
Very loyal.
It's a great company. Of course, I learned a lot of accountability, exposure. I did brand management and marketing, but also even at P&G towards the end of it, I was doing a lot of people development work. So managing a big team, mentoring, coaching, guiding them, a little bit of recruitment and training as well. So I think I kind of was falling into that zone where I was finding a lot more meaning and fulfillment from developing and growing people versus selling soaps and shampoos. So
as great as they were, right?
Of course. I think you evolve, you can't keep doing the same thing for a long time, and with evolution comes new paths, new goals, new chapters.
True.
So I quit like 2 years ago, and I knew people development, but that's it. I didn't know where to go from there, mentoring or coaching or consulting or what it could be. So I saw a coach and I worked on myself, to have the awareness of what is it that I like to do, what are my strengths, my passion, my hobbies, and how to channel it in a way that is, I carve a career and a profession that is meaningful, that I'm passionate about, and obviously that also pays off. So it's been a journey, quite a journey, right. I must say.
So at that point, when you actually decided to quit your job, did you have an idea of what exactly you wanted to do?
No.
Or was it just, you were just totally clueless, but you decided to take that?
I did, because it wasn't going to work out otherwise. Because before I actually quit, it had been 3 years. I had been contemplating and toying and mulling with the fact that I want to go, but what I want to do. I'm big on clarity. So I don't take decisions just out of the blue. I have to know the path and direction, and I didn't have time. Because you're working and traveling, and I had recently had my daughter as well at the time, so she was very young, and I was like, if I'm not going to quit, I will never find this time to explore and to be and to learn. So I took that leap of faith.
And sometimes they say, right, probably money isn't everything, because you were at the peak of your career, one of the best organizations to work with. Money, it was fine and everything, financial independence was there at that stage. But sometimes deep down you feel like that's not enough.
Yes.
And that prompted you.
For sure. And even now, of course there are ups and downs in your startup life, and I don't even earn 30% of what I used to make at that time. Yeah. But I'm so happy, I'm so fulfilled, I'm so contented with what I'm doing, and it's okay. it's okay, because you have other ways to make money. You also adjust your priorities, your expenses, how you lead your life, what makes you happy. So yeah.
So I know you've talked a lot about, in all your sessions and everything, a lot about financial independence, how that is something huge to you. But why that journey? Because I know you yourself, while growing up, you had your own struggles that you had. You were born here. No.
So I was born in Pakistan, but I lived here, from my childhood until 12. So when I was born until 12. Okay. Then I went back home. You know how it is here, so my dad lost his job at the time. We didn't have a way to live here. Right. So we went back, all of us. And then I struggled as well in Pakistan.
How was it adjusting? Because I've got a couple of my friends also who've gone back. And
it was tough. It was tough. Because again, Dubai was not this Dubai growing up, right? It was a different world, but it was still very comfortable, convenient, great quality of life, all the conveniences that our parents could provide us at the time. From there, going to an environment in Karachi, which is very street smart, which is very you have to fight for your right and make your own way. And I couldn't understand anything. I couldn't understand how people operate, how even young kids are so tuned on, and how it took me years. It took me 3-4 years to sort of adjust to that that culture, that lifestyle. And because my dad at the time was not very young, because we were sort of getting old, he struggled in finding work. So that entire decade of my teenage was not comfortable financially. Okay. So it was the time we were growing up, and obviously you need to study and learn and experience the world, and it was tough.
It was. And then that was important for you in terms of getting this financial. Is that what propelled you into your career? Because you were
I think I was very clear. I was very career-minded from the beginning, very ambitious, very driven. At that time, the choices were limited. So for me, it was like, okay, I have to be the breadwinner of the family. I have to get the best possible job out there. Multinational marketing, very clear. Did my MBA. Luckily, made it.
With everything, with all the struggles you went through.
Like I got the job before even my final semester of my MBA, and I was like, I never had to apply, and I just stayed there and grew and everything. Financial independence became really important in my life when a couple of years into my work, and when I had moved to Dubai, I think 2013 or 14.
So it was the work that took you back here.
Yeah. So I moved, exactly. Okay. So I joined, let's say, Procter & Gamble in 2007, and then 2009 I moved to Dubai. They transferred me. There was a role. I was like, of course, why not?
Okay.
So I moved here. I was single at the time, and then
you met your husband here.
I met my husband here a few years later. Then we got married. Now we have a daughter, mashallah.
Okay. So you were saying, sorry, I cut you off. You were saying financial independence was important to you 3 years into.
So let's say by 2013, 14, what happens is, as you also start earning money and saving money, you look for different ways. And I had a great influence from my husband's family. So his brothers and, his family members and some of my friends, they got me into thinking about how you can make your money work harder for you, rather than just putting it in a bank and just, saving and not doing enough and not investing proactively. So I stumbled upon Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Read the book, watched all the videos. I loved this whole idea and different concepts that he shared. So I think it started from there. We slowly and gradually, we were investing always, but I think it was much more proactive, much more conscious, how to go about it, how to do it, how to have a balanced, portfolio, this whole long-term investment thinking. So for me, it started from there. And then now why, I'm sure your next question would be, why have I brought it back to my community and as part of career development, and why am I so passionate about it? I think because here there's a huge, I feel, gap between how much people earn and how much people save.
They save.
So no matter whichever way we look at it, like global millennial statistics, or here locally, like more than 50% of people living in the UAE do not save at all, and a lot of them are in debt. So the numbers don't look good, whichever way we look at it. And again, more than 80% of my clients who come to me for career coaching come for clarity on career path. So they either want to switch, or they want to change industries, job roles, functions, or they want to quit corporate and start their own business. And the number one reason holding them back is finances. They don't have the safety net or the financial cushion that they need to, take that leap of faith. Because anyway, there's a lot of resistance when, you're taking such a big decision. And you don't want it to be an external factor that could have been in your control. which is money.
And that's true, money. And it is a huge factor, right? It could have been in your control, but then sometimes it just escalates and then it just doesn't. It's not. And do you feel it's more women that have a problem? Because we generally do read that, women have a problem with... Both, yeah,
both,
with all your career coaching and everything, what have you?
Both, yeah.
Is it? Yeah. But I think men spend more, but women don't know how to make the right decision.
I think it's a little bit of generalization overall. Of course, there are cases in both, but generally you would see that especially women who are married would leave the money side of things to their husbands, and they would take care of it. But I think people who come to me, and the ones I've experienced, both of them, like maybe the man would know how to invest and how to go about it, but he's lost a lot of money, so he doesn't have that money. Or the woman was cautious and savvy, but she was just saving and not growing it. So there are different ways of,
different ways. That's true. Okay, so going back to the fact that you were in PNG and then you decided to change the course of your career. Was it scary? Because it was like 10 years, most very well established, very settled. Most people would now look for probably the next step, which is to going up in their career. And for you to take such a huge risk. And there are many people like us, there are many people who are dying to take that risk. But what would be that one motivating factor? What would you tell people like that who come to you for coaching, for instance?
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I told you I was contemplating for the last 2-3 years and had not taken that decision. I had my daughter recently at the time, so I took a long 6-month maternity break and still went back to work and did, because my plan was in maternity, I'd have a lot of time. I'm going to sort out, of course, I'm going to sort out everything, have my business ideas. It went like this, and I was like, okay, now what?
I'm sleep deprived. That's the only thing that came out of
it. And then I was like, okay, I really want to go back to work because I need a break. So I was like, yes, let's go. So I did a year after going back from maternity, but then I think what you're asking, what's the number one reason, was my daughter. Because before her, you don't know what you don't know. So I was in that phase before her, but I didn't know anything else other than PNG. I was in my comfort zone. I didn't know. I had a lot of fears because what I knew for sure is I'm not going to leave this job to find a similar job elsewhere, like any other FMCG company or any other. Because I was not tired of the company. I was tired of the profession and the kind of work and the role itself. I didn't want to do the same thing. What changed after I had my daughter was I had this perspective of, I am ambitious, I am career-minded, I'm always going to be that way. But if I'm leaving my daughter at home or daycare or whatever and spending that time away from her, that time has to be meaningful. That time has to add value. Not just for me, but for others. Like, what am I doing? Like when I went back after work, it would be noon and be like, okay, 12, 1, when am I going to go back? And it's just because it's not that I want to be with her all the time. Like even now I work and I have my schedule. It's just that you realize the importance of the time you spend away from your child, and you want to make it as meaningful and as value added as possible. So that was the big thing. My husband was very supportive. He was very supportive in all, at all levels, pushing me out of my comfort zone, telling me like, go for it, being supportive financially, emotionally, in all aspects. So that helped us.
What about your family, like your mom?
That would have been every person in my family, from like my immediate family to relatives and friends. Have you gone crazy? Exactly. Are you nuts? Like, who does that? Who does that? Like, if you want to leave, okay, leave, but then go to a bigger company with a bigger role and a bigger package. And how are you going to make money, and how are you going to survive? And to the point that I was starting getting like frustrated. Like, why do I have to explain myself to all these people? And why did they have
you?
No,
it didn't. Okay.
No. Initially, I would explain a little bit, but then the story would get too long and they wouldn't understand anyway.
That's what. Our parents won't understand. That generation would definitely not understand, right? Especially when they know that you're doing pretty decent.
They would talk to my husband, like convince her she's lost it.
At least you explain.
Exactly. But then what helped is that everybody who knows me really well, they know that I do what I want to do and I don't listen. So when they realize I'm in that zone, that no matter what they say, it's not going to make a difference, then they're like, okay. forget it. Let her be.
But they were also pretty
She's gonna...
supportive in terms of you coming here.
Yeah.
Right?
Course,
Your family has always been very
always,
supportive.
Always.
Looking for a job, and you were pretty much able to make your own decisions, right, in your life.
Always independent, always very supported by my parents and everything I did.
And do you think it really matters? Because many women from our part of the world don't have that privilege where they would be supported, in spite of the fact that they are, very well educated. You're educated, but then once your time is to get married, it still happens, even now.
It matters a lot, I think, because you already have so many battles to fight. It just makes the battles a little bit less, and you feel like someone's got your back,
Right.
Something happens, or you don't make it in whichever career you're in, or business or whatever. You have a support system that you can rely on. Not that you want to do that, but if God forbid something happens, you can.
Yeah.
And I think more than finances or more than that kind of help, it's more the emotional support
that you get. Because at the end of the day, if you can just go back and you have someone who listen to you, that's more important. And career coaching for millennials, let's say people who are probably in their early 30s, late 20s, they might have kind of idea, where their career path is going. How do you tackle the fresh out of university youngsters?
You would think they have an idea, and some of them don't. And that's what my biggest learning was, because I also thought that the younger ones who are sort of lost and don't have as much experience, I would get most of those clients. But if I have to give you a split, I think 90% of my clients are 28 to 35.
Really?
Yeah.
They're at that stage where they just decide.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, everyone has their, people who are fresh graduates, in most cases, their problem is, I don't know why I studied what I studied. And I don't want to, I studied marketing, I don't want a job in marketing. I'm like, okay, have you tried? Have you experienced? I did an internship, I don't like it. Now I don't know what to do.
Okay.
Or
they're
people,
lost.
Yeah. They would study because they wouldn't think that much, or whatever option that came their way, they would just study that and go on with their education. And now that they're in the real world, or what you study you like, but the application of that in the real world is not something
that interests them, or that they thought.
Exactly. The job is a desk job, and I'm not a person who can sit all day on, things like that. Then there are people who have 2-3 years of experience. So those are the ones who studied and then did go and, work in the same field. But now after trying it out, they're like, no.
They realize that they don't want to.
And most of them actually are the ones who've had 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of experience, been there, like myself. And I think part of it is my story also would,
you could relate to most of them, right?
Yeah. And maybe that's the reason why they also come to me, because they see that if I've done it, then, I can inspire them to do it as well.
Yeah.
So these people are the ones who have successfully been in a certain career and really enjoyed it and did well and performed well. But now they're been there, done that. I don't want to do it anymore.
Looking for something more meaningful.
More or change in their life situation. Someone moved to Dubai, someone's going somewhere else. Someone has a situation with the spouse, so whatever. Someone wants to launch a new business, different things. But now they want to do something which is more in line with their passion and interest, but they don't know what that is. Okay. They don't know what they're passionate about. They don't know what their strengths are. So I'm a strengths-based coach. So a lot of all of my coaching is very strengths-based, which means that we work on people's strengths, how to have that self-awareness, how to have that emotional intelligence to know what you are, your strengths, leveraging your strengths effectively, looking at blind spots, all of that.
Okay. And do you think it's very important that when kids are in, let's say, grade 11, 12, they are being given career assessment or personality assessment tests so that they know what kind of career path to take?
I think a lot of it is done, but the way it's done is not the best. So these psychometric tests and just giving a test at a certain point and then forgetting about it and not working with that data, and because as you're growing, your strengths are also evolving and you're growing, and it's so you have to take it at different times and different points in your life and keep working at it. So most of the times, like I'm sure you did a lot of tests, you wouldn't even remember what the results were. What did they say? Because you have to work on it.
It's interesting you said that. One of the ladies that we had an interview with, she was mentioning how from the age of 13, she would write. And she's a journalist and all she knew was to write. But she has done it all, being, sub-editor or whatever. But when she was trying to be the editor, they do all these analysis and tests and everything. She's like, she could never fit in. And she suddenly realized that she wanted to do something else. She never wanted to write again. And at the age of 35? After doing that for almost 20 years.
Because we leave the whole thing of figuring out to trial and error. Because we don't, we're not proactive sometimes. We don't know, we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
So the good thing is that now in our times, there's a lot more exposure for young people, for millennials. Part of it is just having the phone in their hands and Google, at the fingertips.
They know everything now.
Yeah, and also the fact that they're much more, let's say, open to new ideas. So even if we talk about coaching, any kind of coaching, in the UAE, I think when I started 2 years ago, it was not as much. Now I feel, the industry is growing, the pie is growing. You have a lot more coaches, because when people don't know what it can do for you, they wouldn't even be bothered, or would feel the need.
Right.
So before 2 years ago, I had to first explain to them, okay, what coaching is, what it does, how is it different from mentoring or consulting or counseling.
Okay, how is it different from mentoring? Please tell us. Because I was going to ask you, is it important to have a mentor or a coach? So clearly 2 different things. Please explain.
Okay. Sure. So coaching is different from all these other things. Mentor is someone who supports you in the sense of, you could have a mentor who you trust, and who, depending on your needs, you choose him based on you're from the same industries, work at the same place. And this person will tell you what to do. So you would go to this person with, I have this problem, I don't know how to go about it, I have these, solutions this way, I don't know what to do. So they would guide you, advise you based on their experience. So it's like a diagnosis and a solution.
Okay.
Similar little bit to consulting. Of course, consulting is a process and it's done differently, but a little bit similar. Coaching is entirely different, because coaching, the entire premise on which coaching rests is that the answer lies within you. So we don't give you the medicine, and we don't prescribe you, the solution. We would know, and that's why it's a process and it takes time. It's not like, quick fix and instant gratification in one session, you'll figure out everything. It doesn't work that way.
Okay.
So what we do is we obviously work a lot on what do you want to do, what's the outcome, where do you want to go, and then from there it would be all about eliciting those responses and answers from you. And asking powerful questions. There are different tools and techniques that we can use to ensure that the answer that lies within you comes out. So there's much more ownership and accountability. Imagine if I tell you something, Diji, do it. You're like, okay, fine. You might not own it, because, and when it comes from within you through a process of transformation, which is insightful and ahas and light bulb moments, then you're like, and then it sticks with you. It stays with you. You own it. You're accountable. There's a lot of accountability in coaching. We make sure whatever we are, discussing, they are moving ahead in their careers accordingly.
Okay. And is it important that whatever, for example, like you, for instance, you thought you would be interested in marketing and that's your forte. But is it really important that you have to have a degree in marketing in order to, because sometimes, most of the times it's life experience, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, I think, of course, not to say that education is not important. Education and degrees and studying the right stuff is really important, especially in much more technical fields. But it doesn't mean that if you have not studied that career path or industry or whatever that is, you cannot get in there. We have billions of examples of people, of the most successful people in the world who did not have degrees and who were school dropouts and who made a name for themselves.
But all these career coaching that you go to, do you have these kids coming with, I have a degree, but I don't know what to do with it?
Yes.
And then you sit with them. Is that how you do the process?
Yes. So we sit with them. We figure out, okay, what is exactly that they're looking after, clarification of the outcome, and then working with them on their strengths, passion, values, beliefs, and figuring out what are the potential different career paths, because it's not like, one right answer. Different career paths that could be in line with who they are, because you would be surprised the amount or the lack of self-awareness they have. And that's the key, that's the first step to emotional intelligence. Self-awareness is really important.
Is it self-awareness, or it's more like doubt that they have, or no confidence?
Both, because doubts and fears and limiting beliefs also stem from, some of them, from lack of self-awareness. If you don't know, and that's why this strengths coaching is so beautiful, because in every session when you're going to talk to someone about their strengths, remind them about their strengths, deep dive into their strengths and how amazing they are, automatically confidence comes in, automatically. But then, of course, even when you know what your strengths are, there could be fears or limiting beliefs holding people back, which typically stem from a mindset of scarcity. I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not
Yeah.
loved enough, I don't have enough. It's, this mindset.
And
And though that comes from childhood, typically.
Yeah, because I was going to say my kids' school, for example, are, let's say, the grade 10s. We have mock exams that we do for them, right? But from the mock exam to the final exam, the lead up to it, each student gets a mentor or a teacher who sits with them. And most of the times they've noticed that the progress that they make in their, the marks that they are supposed to be attaining will change if their attitude changes or if their mindset changes. Mostly it's just that. Sometimes they feel like, I can't do it. Sometimes they feel, oh, what's the point? I mean,
And how do they work on their mindset?
You just sit with them, coach. Sometimes all they need is someone to listen to them.
Talk,
yeah. And it's so important you said that because it starts really young. It really starts young. The feeling of not being enough. Right?
And you carry it with you throughout your life, and in some cases people don't let go. Even when they're told and they figure it out, it's very difficult because it has been so ingrained over time, these limiting thoughts and beliefs, because of how you've been raised or the kind of childhood you had, the scars you have. But it's you can work on it, and that's what we work on, how to change these limiting beliefs to positive beliefs, and to change I'm not enough to I am enough, and it's okay, and I will learn.
So how does a typical coaching session, not one day, but how long does it normally take? How many sessions?
So typically 8 to 10 to 12 sessions, depending on, of course, people's availability and progress and how what their outcome and needs are. And we would do one session per week. Initially, I'd start usually with 2-hour sessions because there's a lot more to learn and know and get to know each other. And the fit is important. So both of us need to feel that we connect. The number one reason you would get a coach for is because you trust them.
Exactly.
You trust them, you trust their expertise, you trust their character, you can connect and relate with them, so it's really important. And then we would do one session every week or every 10 days. And why the gap? Because it's important for them to absorb and digest all the emotional healing and the stuff that's going
reflect on it, right?
There's homework, so there's things to do as well. So let's say it would take anywhere between 2.5 to 3 months. There are clients who've stayed with me for 20 sessions because at different times they would go and come back and different needs. And
what all do you cover? So you said you do, apart from the obvious career counseling, you also work on mindset. What else what are the main factors?
Everything is very unique and customized based on what they need. So let's say if I start with someone who just came to say that I want to leave my job and start my own business, but after 2 sessions, I realize and they realize that there's a lot of things holding them back, things about mindset and fears, and of course we'll go there. Because those are the main things we have to work on. So through their strengths, through their values, through I'm an NLP certified practitioner as well. Different tools, we would figure out how to, and it's a process. It's not like one session we had and the fears are gone. So it takes time. So we work on those things. Let's say in the 10 sessions that I told you about, 50% of the time would be spent in the internal work. So the internal strengths, passion, values, stuff and fears. And then the other 50% in externalizing your brand. So now that you figured out these 2-3 parts are the ones you want to pursue, how to go about it. Because that's a big chunk of it, right? People don't know how to apply for jobs, how to network, how to build relationships, which is so important, whether you want to launch your own business or find a job, how to carve your personal brand, how to give interviews, how to prepare your resume, your online presence, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of that stuff. So that's the remaining 50% of the time. So that by the time they go out there, they're fully ready, equipped, they know how to present and package themselves in a compelling way.
You mentioned networking, and you are a big advocate of networking. In fact, it's something you really advocate in and Unwind the Grind as well, right? So just tell me about a few of those events. I love to, I live in Abu Dhabi. It's really difficult for me to actually attend, but I've seen all your videos, of course.
Sure.
So what exactly do those events that you do in Unwind?
All right. I'll tell you the progression and how we went about it.
Yes, please. Yeah.
When I left PNG, I saw a coach. Then I decided I'm going to become a coach. So I did all my certifications, ICF, strengths, NLP, all of that stuff. And I became a career coach. One-to-one coaching and workshops. That's what I did for, let's say, 8 to 10 months. From all my marketing experience and background, there's one thing that I was very clear that I'm not going to be a everything under the sun kind of coach. I want to have a niche in specific. So on one hand, in terms of target audience, I said millennials. Why? Because I'm a millennial myself, on the mature and senior
almost
end. But it helps because, you know, with all your experience and expertise, people can relate to you, but you also have experience, so they look up to you. So as a coach, I realize it's very important for my target audience to look up to me. Not to say that as a young person, I cannot coach 50 years old, but it would have been twice as difficult.
It's not impossible.
Yeah, nothing is impossible. So I was very clear on the target audience, which has helped me a lot in all the various things I've done. Because when you choose one target audience, you market everything to them, and then, you know, over time it becomes easier. And on the other hand, I said, given my focus on developing people and having this need of people knowing what kind of career paths and how they can grow in their career, accelerate in their career, find the right career path, package themselves, present themselves, I felt that there's a very good fit in terms of what people need, what I have to offer, and we could make a business proposition out of it. So this is the time, the last 2-3 years, where I've gained the most knowledge and awareness about my own self. So what happened was, like, you can decide something and go at it, but then as you learn and as you go along, you learn more about yourself. So what I learned about myself was that as much as I love coaching and one-to-one and this deep connection with my clients, I'm a person who's very out there.
You're a marketing person. At the end of the day, that's what you are.
And my strengths are as well, like communication and socializing and extrovert and, you know, being out there. So I was, and having a big impact more than anything else. It was this feeling of how many people can I impact at one time, and with coaching 8, 9, 10 at any given time, and then workshops as well, you know, it's a bit limiting. So I wanted to have more scale. So that's how Unwind the Grind was born, like this whole event idea. And I felt as well that right now I'm the one helping other individuals. How about all these amazing, beautiful people in my circle and network, is which I was growing very nicely. How about they come together and they help other people? I had realized by then that networking is the, you know, a gold mine.
Holy grail.
It's a holy, exactly. That's how things work. That's how things work globally, and, like, you know, more so in this part of the world. 80% of the jobs people find are through networking. Same for business, word of mouth, referrals. So I felt it's important that I bring this community together in whichever way. So first we thought that, okay, we're going to do events. Then now we have a lot more things, community events and mentorship program and stuff. So the idea is we bring like-minded people together. So they connect, they network, they unwind and relax. They learn from each other in an environment which is not transactional. Which is not, here's my business card, where's your business card, I'll send you an email and that's it. It's relational. You build relationships. That's why it's important for us to make it fun, you know, to break the ice, to have some music. So we do performing arts and music, drama, comedy. We use gamification. That makes it interesting for people. So, you know, using the insights of our target audience and making it much more cool and fun for them. So every event is on a career development theme. We have 4 pillars, like I said: clarity on career path, personal branding, entrepreneurship, and financial independence. So all the events hover around similar themes, different topics. We do it every other month. We have about 80 to 100 people, speakers, fireside chats, panel discussions, gamification, performing arts, like I said. And it's a great way. It's a great way to create awareness of your platform, to get your word out there, to help people come and connect. And you know, there've been so many success stories from people who came together. Now they're friends. They go out together. Some people found jobs through it, internships through it, business introductions, referrals. So that's how things work, right? And Dubai is a small place, small community. So, you know, everybody kind of knows each other. So that helps. So now we have a community of over 2,000 millennials based in Dubai, thanks to all of the work we've done in the last year and a half. And 70% are corporate, 30% are entrepreneurs, 60% female, 40% male.
That's good.
Having a female founder, obviously the skew will always be female.
Also, it's because females, I've always realized that females have this urge to learn more. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. But I feel that women feel like they need to improve themselves and learn more.
Yes, they invest a lot of time in, like, themselves, learning and self-awareness and all of that.
Like, we know everything. Mr. Knows Mores. That could be the thing. So all these, the network that you have created, all the the group of what, 2,000 you said? Yeah. And do they keep coming back? How does it work?
Yes.
Okay.
So we in every event, let's say we have 40% repeat people and 60% new. So it's a great mix.
Great. That's a wonderful case.
Yeah.
And so what next for Unwind the Grind?
A lot. And the beauty of, I'm sure you would know as well, the beauty of running your own business and being by yourself is you learn every day. Yeah. So there are things that you plan, and then there are things that happen by the sheer luck or whatever, or the universe conspiring to make things happen for you. Like I'll give you an example. For instance, in my planning or strategy or anything, I had not factored in speaking gigs. So I do, of course, to create awareness and everything. I'm invited at events, conferences, I do speak, but now this has become a paid revenue stream. So, you know, locally, internationally, I recently went to KL. I organized an event for the Dutch embassy, which I organized it totally, like curated and presented and led the panel discussion. So this has become another thing that I do. So just to illustrate the point that, you know, things that we don't even think or know, they come your way, which is great. For Unwind the Grind, I want it to be much more scalable. So this year, our focus is on everything that we're doing offline right now to take it online as well. So from one-to-one coaching to group coaching to workshops, webinars, online events, everything on our website, on our platform, you would be able to attend to online as well from wherever you are in the world.
Oh, that's nice.
So to drive more scale, we want to expand in different countries. So in Pakistan, in Saudi, big projects. Working on big ideas.
Do you
can't
think
say much
like,
right now.
But do you think something like this would be receptive in a country like Pakistan?
For sure.
Yeah.
Every single thing, from coaching to events to workshops to clarity on career path, every single thing.
It's kind of like empowering also, right? For millennials. Because as much as we say, they're also one of the most lost generations, because we're kind of in the middle of neither there nor here. So we are kind of lost too, right?
Yeah, of course. And then the thing is, on one hand, having so much information and exposure is great, which they've had. But on the other hand, it also makes you even more lost because of the plenty of choices and options. You know, imagine for us growing up, doing something freelance or having your own gig or startups or all these different AI and robotics and these professions, it weren't even there. Like, you know, you become a doctor or you're an engineer or you do your MBA
or whatever,
and that's it. Exactly. And now with all these different options, they want to try it out, they want to learn. So of course there's much more there's lack of clarity on what they should do.
Have you ever considered coaching probably the younger range, like, you know, from the 15 to 25s?
Not as 25s I do. So I do
15 to 25.
15 to
okay, let's say 15 to 20.
20 to 25 I do already. 15 to 20 I do go to universities and give talks sometimes. Those are more less coaching, more motivational talks and workshops. If they come, I don't say no, but I don't proactively target. I feel also that when you grow up a little bit more and have a certain kind of skill set and self-awareness and experience, it's the coaching is much more impactful versus, not to say that you can't coach students, but maybe I don't have that skill set yet, or I want to focus more on people who are sort of, you know, on a career path rather than still studying.
And still at a very confused stage, but everyone is at a confused stage, I guess.
How a lot of times I feel like telling them, you're confused, it's okay. Just
we're also confused.
Be yourself. Just be yourself. Just learn and just,
There's no one who's very well aware of exactly what they're doing. Everyone's just confused.
And you cannot have all the answers when you're 16 or 17. You cannot.
You can't even have it when you're 35. Forget about 15.
Exactly.
Sometimes you feel like the 3-year-olds have probably all, like your daughter.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I've seen.
That generation is a different league, man. They are like so tuned on and so like, I tell my husband, like the kind of comments and observations she has, I didn't even have when I was 12.
But you know something, the younger kids have it. We had it when we were kids. We kind of lost it in transition.
No, really? Yes. You think so?
Yes, I think so. We don't observe. Kids are very observant in general because they're not bogged down by what society expects them to, what all the limitations that's being put.
That's true.
They are. But then gradually, the moment they are 7, 8, you know, they start becoming more conscious, and then
they're not themselves, and they are holding themselves back. But the exposure these guys have, like, you know,
for sure.
Like with my daughter, you need to know what you're saying because
Soha,
she's gonna catch you. Like my friend came the other day, and then she said something, and it's a long long story, so I would spare you that. She said something, and then Soha said something back. So she's like, oh, what did I say? Like, you have to cover your bases for 3 other arguments, because you can't just say anything. At 4 years old, imagine.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what were you up to in Kuala Lumpur?
So I was speaking at a Women in Leadership conference in Kuala Lumpur, and yeah, so I was invited to talk there, and I talked about personal branding, proactive career management, networking, topics that are very close to my heart. It was great. It was like a room full of 60, 70 women from all different fields and industries and backgrounds. Very interesting, very empowering.
And now, do you see women leadership roles like a bit more prevalent than it used to be before, or do you think
the numbers don't look good? The numbers don't look good globally. Yeah.
I thought it was
it's getting better, but very slowly and in different pockets. But yeah, we need much more women. Definitely, it depends on where you come from. If I talk about my country, Pakistan, for sure. But it's slow. Because what happens is women do start and do get into the corporate world or whatever, start working, but then they drop midway.
Family responsibilities,
and certain careers and certain places are not that open to the fact, and even here, everywhere in the world, like, it's discouraged that, okay, you're going to get married now you're going to have a baby, now you're going to go on maternity, oh, you're going to have another baby now. So it's not the companies and organizations do not like, women would have a backseat versus men who would not have all of these issues. They would become dads and nothing would change at their workplace. Nothing would change, which is a problem. And that's why, like, in really competitive male-dominated fields, women are still not growing or not at leadership positions the way they should be.
And how is it in UAE? How different is it? UAE is growing. It's trying to change as much.
From a government level, it's amazing. All the female ministers and the cabinet, and the focus that's there. So that's great. On a private level, I think it's getting better, but there's still a long way to go.
Yeah. And how has Dubai shaped up your entire... I know that Dubai has given you your life partner, your life has changed and everything, and of course you started Unwind the Grind. But how instrumental was Dubai in changing your career, in your life, everything?
It was amazing. I think Dubai is like, home to me. I've grown up here from like when I was a child in total I spent 20 years in Dubai, much more than I've spent back home. So I think Dubai will always have a very like, soft place and with the fondest of memories and everything. And I think Dubai gave me that platform that I needed to grow professionally, personally. I think if I was in any other country, I might not have been able to grow as fast as I did here at every level, from a student to a corporate professional to now an entrepreneur, because it is very comfortable, very convenient, very diverse. The way to do business here is easy. I think everything is very, if you know how to get your way around and the rules of business and the game, and which you should, and which is the right people, that's the number one rule in any case. So then it becomes, then things happen for you.
Because Dubai is growing, right? And it's been very flexible also in terms of SMEs, in terms of... Right now, especially.
Yes, Dubai is very progressive in a lot of ways, and it's getting even better with time. So, like you said, a lot of different laws and policies and regulations, and it's getting easier, to do business here.
Right. And how does your husband and his support feature in all this? Is he actively involved in Unwind the Grind, or you just
well, yeah.
Is he the photographer? No, okay.
Actively in the thinking process. So my husband is very passionate about, people development.
Is he also in marketing, or?
No, so he is in compliance. He is the regional compliance director for MoneyGram, the money exchange company.
Okay.
He's always been in finance and banking and all of that. Yeah,
all right.
Boring stuff.
Okay.
So he's been very actively involved in the strategic thinking and ideation and planning, and obviously, when you're working alone, your husband is your best sounding board, and all my
ideas
and the ideas and my nagging and whining and things are not working, or it's amazing, it's great. All he's the key recipient of all of that information.
Okay.
So yeah, he's been very helpful, very supportive. A lot of different ideas, usually came from him. He also has a great network. He's great with, people and social skills. So I think, without his support in this way, in terms of work, in terms of overall financially as well, emotionally, it would have been quite a task.
Yeah, and I can imagine, yes, for sure. And all the events and everything that you conceptualize for Unwind the Grind, how do you get these ideas from? Is it just you have these ideas and then you work through them, or people throw ideas when you work? Because you pretty much do everything yourself, right?
Yeah.
You're
I do.
I've
had
one man arm, one woman army.
One woman army. No,
Yeah.
I do have a team. I've had different teams and different people at different times. But yeah, like even now I have a team of 3 or 4 people.
Okay.
So I think ideation is my strength. It's my husband's strength as well.
Okay.
So we come up with the best ideas
Really?
together as well.
Okay.
Like Unwind the Grind, the event idea came up with sitting together at midnight, venting, and him listening, and then he was challenging me. Okay, why don't you do this? Why don't you do, like I was venting about I'm not feeling the impact is more, and I want to do more and more people and scale and bringing people together, and that's how we came up with it. So yeah, a lot of ideas, and then of course you bounce off with people and friends and the community and people. The best part is as you start growing and building a community, people proactively come forward with help and support. So now, like so many people, like I have interns, I have people who always are proactively involved in our events and volunteers, and a team of people who are kind of like diehard fans of the community, and they always, and they whenever they see something, they would take a picture and send me, or how about this, have you seen this, how about this on social media. So because it's quite a job, right? Like I have to manage my social media, do my videos, promote, publicize, do events, coaching, do workshops, like everything. Because I conduct it myself, right? Like the services I offer are through my own time. So it can get quite time consuming.
I know it can.
But I love
it. Of course you do. And social media, everything that you do, did you study social media marketing, or how do you manage to do that?
It was of course part of like, because I did marketing brand management for the longest time, and you keep abreast with the changing times. So as soon as digital came and online marketing, social media, we used to do it at work. But the way we did it at work was very different to now. Firstly, it was just starting at the time. 2, you have the resources and agencies and media agency and creative agency, everybody to take care of your needs. And now you have to post every single content yourself.
So, prepare, write captions and everything.
I think another part of when I was quitting P&G and thinking of coaching and everything, which is a learning I tell people now, that whenever you're trying to change career paths, don't ditch everything. See the things that are not working and what you would like to change, but also all that experience and knowledge and expertise that you have, the things that are working and that you do like and enjoy, build it upon and take it with you. At that time, I was, I think, in such a state of mind that I was like, I don't want to have to do anything with that. Yes, And then because of part of being an entrepreneur is obviously you have to market and everything. So naturally I started building a brand and my website and logo and social media. I started doing it very actively. And then as I got response and great results and built a community, I started doing more of that. And I realized how much I love it and how much I enjoy it. So that's your answer, that, it's always the marketing, social media, the different kinds of marketing is always going to be part of my DNA. I always keep, on the lookout of different ways of doing things, doing much more videos than I used to do before, gamifying stuff, different creative ways. So creativity,
you are a creative person. You're also
that's another thing I learned after leaving P&G, because when you are in an environment for a very long time and the company has its own set of values, right? And then you have your values. I felt I was becoming much more left-brained, very data-driven and rational and logical and that kind of person. And my own limiting belief in my mind, because I always wanted to be, I really look up to artists and these people. So I wanted to be like, not necessarily a painter but a writer that in that artsy field. I really, my friends who are in that field, I'm like, how do you do it? How does it come to you? So my limiting belief was, I'm not creative. That was the starting point. I'm not creative. I'm good with like data and logic and not necessarily numbers, but like, strategic thinking is my domain. So I'll stick to that. The minute I quit P&G, I started writing naturally.
I've read some of your articles.
The words kept coming and I started writing and I loved it and I got great response, and I started writing for HuffPost, for Entrepreneur Middle East, different publications. And I was like, oh, I'm creative, turns out. Yeah.
Okay.
And then social media, doing videos, and
Okay.
even like everything about my business, from my events to social media to everything I do, is very creative. Coaching is very creative.
Yes.
It's such a creative process.
Of course.
You know,
What's
going
to flow and to write and everything. Yeah.
Going into the session, you don't know what's going to happen. You might have like pointers or a certain agenda, and I've never walked out of a coaching session with doing just that. With doing just the 3-4 things I had written. You dance in the moment, go with the flow, you create something magical.
True.
So it's all about experiences.
Oh yeah, it is all about experiences. And before we wind up, there's one question I wanted to ask you. You said marketing is in your DNA. What else? There's another thing that's in your DNA, which I've always admired, is the fact that you're always very, very positive and you're very confident. How do you do that? And I'm sure growing up, we've all had you've had your own limiting beliefs. And how did you just turn that around? And is this very positive person, confident person that you are right now?
As you said that, I just had a flashback of a time when I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. Okay. I was always into extracurricular stuff at school, debates and competitions, and my dad would push me a lot, teachers would push me, but I was not always confident. I had to push myself, but what mattered and what really made me more confident is I kept pushing myself. So, like I'm a huge fan of Oprah, and I religiously listen to her podcast. I was listening to her podcast yesterday, and it talked about how when you are onto doing something significant in your life, where you're going from a base level to a higher level, there's always resistance. And that resistance is not something like, things like I can't do it, or I don't want to do it, or would I be able to do it? Those kind of questions. These are not something that we are telling ourselves. This is a higher force of nature, and everybody has that. Okay. The key is how you push past that resistance, and you keep going, and you keep doing it, and you keep, because you know the value and the learning that you would get from doing that is going to outweigh the fear that you were toying with at the time.
It's difficult, right? Also, when you're going through that limiting beliefs.
It's difficult when you don't have a lot of base to build upon. So if you don't have a lot of, you're young, you don't have enough experiences, enough milestones in your life, enough things that give you confidence externally, because it's not coming from within, naturally.
Yeah, for sure.
So like at that time, if your parents, your teachers, your support system, your friends are uplifting and positive and energetic and pushing you and role modeling and showing you from themselves. Like if your parents are super shy and timid themselves, you're not going to grow up to be, so you have to role model. So if you don't get that, it's very hard growing up. But then later on in life, it's not like you can't change that. Emotional intelligence is learnable. It's the highly learnable, trait. And this is the difference between people who are successful leaders, and those who are not. Again, from this podcast, I was listening to Daniel Goleman, who's the guru of EQ. And he was saying that he was at a conference with like 300, 400 highly accomplished leaders, CEOs and really leaders, top leaders. And he asked, how many of you were geeks at school and had top grades and top GPAs? And like 4 hands were raised. All of them were not. So, and he talks about it in his book that IQ stays the same, it's constant, and it's not something that matters the most. What matters is EQ. And part of emotional intelligence is, these self-uplifting beliefs and confidence and positivity, empathy, compassion. It's all of this emotional intelligence and social intelligence.
Social intelligence. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. That was an amazing session. Thank you very much for being part of Women of Arabia. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much. It didn't feel like it's just a conversation. You and I can go on for 5 more hours.
We can. We have this habit of talking forever. Thank you very much for being part of the show. Wish you all the best. Not just unwind the grind, but as Samia Hasan, as you, I hope and I wish the best for you.
Thank you. Likewise to you as well. Thank you.